All right, welcome back.
Welcome back.
The rundown with Snapper and Flux. I'm Snapper.
Lux, how's it
Let's
going,
do it,
bro?
man. Lots to talk about. The world is freaking bananas, bro.
Yep. Bananas.
So, how are
Yep.
you doing? Are you feeling well? Doing well?
Yeah. Well enough. Yeah. You?
I'm good, man. The
Busy?
busy. Yeah, check this out. Live stream at my house. The construction is going in. They're putting roof joists in. Holy cow.
Dang, that's really coming together.
Yeah,
Seemed like just what was it last week? It was foundation.
yeah, yeah. Yep. Grandma's going to be living here in a couple months. So,
Is it gonna be single story or?
yeah, it's one story, about 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, nice. Is it you gonna put like chimney, fireplace in there or just
Uh, no fireplace. Just the cool thing about it is it's got that front porch. You can kind of see the overhang, and then two-car garage, and then there's a access to a half bath on the front porch that's not connected to the rest of the house. So when we put the pool in, there'll be like a pool bathroom
Oh,
that
nice.
won't
That's a
bother
great
whoever's living in the casita. So
idea.
yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah. So that's going on. So I'm playing general contractor, the well people, the framers, lots going on. So, and
That's
I'm
some
reconstructing that new location for the hen house, putting our birds in a new location, trying to get some work done to eventually get them locked in behind a cage so they're not pooping on everything.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and some good things about to come out soon.
yeah.
Road trip.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For me, I'm going on the road. Um, upcoming. I don't want to put
Yep.
specific dates out, but there's a road trip coming up. I'm going to get on another podcast. There's going to be a podcast I did previously releasing, and then a little teaser. I guess I can throw it out there. I'm going to talk some smack to Chael Sonnen, old high school wrestling guy. I wrestled him a couple times in high school, and I got some videotape of it. Um, so that'll be coming out here pretty soon.
Possibly rekindle some high school rivalry.
Yeah, man, let's go. Let's go. Rematch, brother. If he's got some stones, let's see, man. Let's see if he'll talk some smack to Snapper.
That's funny.
Uh,
Funny. Have you reached out to him at all?
no, I need to drop a line. There's no way he's gonna respond to me, dude. There's gonna be in so much noise. He he he
You
posts
never
like,
know.
have you seen his channel? He's
I've watched his podcast many times, but yeah, I mean, he probably has some type of PR person,
yeah, he's
or
like the mouthpiece for
yeah,
freaking UFC right now. So
I
he's
think
posting
you'd
in
be
his car
surprised.
driving around every day, like twice a day. So
Yeah,
he's not gonna see any messaging from me.
but
Maybe.
yeah, so big things this week too. Um, at Randolph.
Oh yeah, we got, dude, I'm gonna act as Mr. Vice for the Dining Out, the Freedom Flyer Reunion, 52nd annual at Randolph Air Force Base. They're former POWs from Vietnam that have come back to fly are joining us again for the annual reunion. And I get to bring all my audio visual equipment over to the officers club and uh kind of MC that thing. So that'll be fun. It'll be like my fourth or fifth time doing it. It's
Yeah,
always just a pleasure to go hang out with those dudes, those heroes.
yeah, it's a really cool thing that they do with the cheetahs, and it was pretty cool to be a part of it a couple times. Yeah, it's
Yep.
crazy to hear their stories. And the one thing I've noticed about all those guys is they are always smiling from ear to ear. And
Yep.
it's like if you really like
Dude,
know
that's
what the stories are and it really like hits home, you're like, dude, that's life. You choose happiness as a choice, and those dudes have been through it, and at their age, it's something to like pay attention to. At least I do. I'm like, wow.
I
Don't
totally
sweat
agree,
the
man. They
little.
practice gratitude. They do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you get a chance, have you been to the symposium where they go and tell their stories out at the Taj Mahal theater?
Yeah, I did when it was the four flyers with sweetness.
Okay. Yeah, the story they generally tell, the theme is resilience and choosing uh positivity, and that's what one of the key factors, key elements in them being successful in life. A lot of those guys that made it through, survived and made it home, had that key element of choosing gratitude and feeling uh, that choice was deliberate
Yeah.
to take the positive of things. So
Yeah. And not obviously not to compare, but I was going through like a hard time 2016, 2017, and a friend of mine, you know, like really like started putting it to me like what gratitude really means and like what it means to like try and exist in that space. And I started getting into the habit of like understanding what it is and then trying to exist in that space. And it really helped me out. And it made it so much easier to, like be happier and appreciate each and everything and everyone that's involved in your life around
yeah,
you.
yeah. So my practice of that is, it's important every week that we sit down as a family on Sunday, and we're very fortunate that this can happen, that we're set up, that this is consistent.
Yeah.
But we sit down at dinner, and before we eat, I'm not religious. I don't sit down and hold hands and take a prayer like I used to as a kid. But I address everyone. I look at everybody in the face and I say, I'm very grateful that you're here. Uh, talk about
Yeah.
a couple things during the week that I'm happy or grateful for, and kind of go around the table. It's like Thanksgiving almost, but we do that every week, and it does, man. It keeps you in a positive outlook. It keeps you in a positive mindset. It keeps you from getting so wrapped up into things where you're always just angry and upset and pissed off. Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I'm wondering. Like, this dovetails nicely into the protests that are going on right now. I sometimes, well, right now I'm having a hard time understanding where they're coming from. It's such a negative point of view or approach to this, where this is an opportunity to choose gratitude, choose uh, the positive outlook
Yeah.
in what's going on. So,
Yeah. It's like
what do you
what
think of that?
it's I just it's what do they want? And that's what, I've said it before. I just don't feel like these people are in control of their emotions or their ideas and their thoughts because what what is the problem?
Well,
You know,
certainly you're going to see the ones on TV that are not in control of their emotions, because that's the sensational TV,
yeah, I mean,
6 second soundbite. But there's probably, I want to try to steel man the argument for the protesters. Try to
yeah,
figure out what is their fundamental ask. What is it they're upset about? And I think it's something like they feel that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are out of bounds in how they're approaching the cuts. Like they're breaking rules or something. I think that may be like,
yeah, that's just the weird thing about obviously we both know there's plenty of war fighters that are Democrats, plenty
yeah,
of them, or plenty of fighter pilots that are Democrats. But also 95% of the people I know that are professionals, fighter pilots, instructors, not a single one of them are on social media. So it's always the loud people, which I always call them crybabies, because those are the people that cry about everything. So we only see that from both sides, and it's hard to not.
yeah.
It's
But
hard
if it's not a crybaby, what is their fundamental argument that is a legitimate and valuable uh, perspective on this? Because there's got to be something to millions of people across the country at the same day going out and doing this stuff. I've tried to look at some of the rallies and some of the speeches that happen at the platforms where people are behind the microphone saying, "Hey, this is what we're here for."
Yeah.
and it's always referring to like a specific program that's getting funding cut or something like that. Um, and the the argument that I think falls apart is I always hear that they're attributing the intent of the person, Trump or Musk, and they're always using those two, that their personal intent is that they want to cut X for this group of people. They hate them. They want them to fail, and that's just not true. It's just a falsehood that they're
Yeah.
presenting as their purpose or their motivation to protest and say no, we don't want them touching our program. That's
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I feel like they're not really like, they just don't really have a good, they don't really have a good reason why they're doing it. They're just, it's whatever they're doing, it's just not okay. And
yeah,
they're not looking at any bigger picture at all. And they're only looking at, it looks like they want to be mad and angry. And obviously that influences from the people that they're following, you
yeah,
know, all their people are like, Elon just wants to get your socials and get all your information, and then they tell their followers that, and then all of a sudden that's the only thing that's coming out of their mouth. And it's just like, did I haven't really experienced transparency as an adult from any organization within like the presidential like group
yeah,
ever. And I like, how much more transparent can they be? And realistically, from what's been said, the deepest Elon's even gone in his team, all he's had to do so far to just discover so much was just look at money going out that has no accountability. And like, that's it.
yeah.
There's that much waste and fraud just from that alone.
And I would agree with you that from my experience, the amount of transparency that's going on, how many press conferences and opportunities for questions has the president and Elon Musk? They're doing interview after interview after interview. They're trying to put out there, this is what we're doing. Especially Doge, they have that website. They go line by line. It's pretty out there and transparent. So again,
Everything that you could possibly ask for as far as transparency. And then, and this does, to me, I don't care right or left. Obviously, I've noticed with, especially with that Mayorkas guy and anyone involved with them, it is crazy to me that they keep wasting their time talking to that guy. I can't ever remember that dude answering one single question he's ever been asked. And it seems like a lot of the people from that side never answer a question. You tell them a yes or no, and like, these guys are 100% on the table with everything. And
explain, like, tell the audience who is Mayorkas.
he was the guy who was supposed, like in charge of what was going on at the border, like immigration and all of like enforcing everything. And he's been, questioned over and over and over. And it's just like, I don't know how you can even exist that way for one. Like, oh, don't you get tired of avoiding questions? Like, that's literally your professional career now.
I will definitely go out there and defend a non-answer to a question because a lot of the questions that are given are loaded and
Guided.
you can't respond to them without putting yourself into a box. So there's a good percentage. There's not all of the questions are that way, but there's a good percentage that are, especially from mass media sites.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
and you're 100% right. Literally every question is always loaded and
yeah,
like driving like an
yeah,
answer. With that guy in particular, it's pretty crazy.
yeah, yeah,
But I only brought that up. It's just, this is Elon's team is literally super transparent. What more can you ask for?
yeah.
And like why
And
people,
you're
why
seeing, you
would
brought him
anyone?
up because you see a contrast in how previous border czar, if you will, is avoiding questions from your observation versus what's going on now. You could probably ask questions about what's going on at the border, and they'd be happy to present what uh, maybe
Yeah,
they'll answer. I don't
they're
know.
literally
I don't
so
have any examples of this that we're talking about, but um, that's
it's
what
all
you're saying.
people, but I really was just bringing up the fact that there's so many people you can't get a straight answer out of them ever. And then when you look at, but the comparison I was just bringing that up is there's a lot of people in charge of things in government, and what Elon's doing, I don't think it has anything to do with the right or left. It's
Yeah,
totally about uncovering fraud.
yeah.
That's was 100%,
That's how we see
talked
it.
about long before. I mean, when did you start hearing about Trump talking about the Doge? And that was like, I think I remember back in what, September?
Yeah, it was before the
Like,
election. Yeah,
yeah, so it was totally part of what the campaign was about, like
yeah,
government efficiency, and people voted for it.
yeah,
And he's, you can't be any more transparent. I don't, and like, who, why do people have this idea that he's trying to get your social security? What is he going to do with it?
yeah,
You don't think that the guy that has all the satellites going up every like week or two that can't get anything he wants about you? And like, what is he gonna do with it?
yeah,
Like, how many phone calls do you get? Even when you get a brand new phone number, like somebody somehow has all your information.
yeah,
Like, it's not that special if you're just average American, like you don't have anything that somebody that's, the publicly the richest guy in the world, like needs.
yeah. That sounds like a attempt to scare people, and yeah,
It's really
the
easy to keep people living in fear.
yeah,
And then everything they do is reacting in fear. And that's
yeah,
the thing. Yeah, it goes back to like you you got to pay attention to what you're allowing into your headspace,
yeah,
and you have to choose to not live in fear. And it's really easy to stay in fear and react that way 100% of the time if that's all you're listening to.
yeah. And
I've
so
said
there are
it.
opportunities for me to be sitting in fear also. Like, man, the funding changes, the directions that are coming down from Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense, Department of the Air Force, all these new things that are coming down. It is a little bit crazy, the the impact to so many people's career. You took DRP1, DRP2 just opened today. So it's open for 7 days, the 7th to the 14th. And along with that, there's a couple dozen presidential letters of policy that came out that are impacting DoD, a lot of people's livelihood. Um, so if you're looking for a place to be afraid, you have, it's a target rich environment for you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't, I know that I hadn't watched your video, but I seen that I think yesterday
Yeah.
you put a video out that was a few minutes long. We could
Yeah.
go into, but
A
I mean,
couple,
like,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
A couple of the
I was
details.
just gonna
Okay. I'll,
say,
I'll go in.
okay.
There's a couple of details on that um, the take two for DRP, you can take DRP with Vera. You can do Vera's voluntary early retirement. Um, there are people who are going to be eligible. There's going to be a lot more that take it because it's been found to be legit. People trust it more. The first time they didn't trust it, there was a huge wave of influence that was to distrust it and don't take it because you feel like people felt like they were not going to get their side of the bargain. It was too good to be true. Now people are like, oh, it's an actual program. So there's going to be a lot more that take it because
So
of
can
that
you
factor alone.
just briefly, what is Vera and like what does that have to do with retirement?
So for DoD civilians, if you are pretty close to a time that allows a normal retirement, but you're short by 2 years. Anywhere up to 2 years prior to a normal retirement time frame, the DoD has a tool in the kit for force shaping and management of personnel that's called VERA, the Voluntary Early Retirement System. If there's an open season, you can apply and get accepted to retire early at a small, reduced rate, slightly reduced rate, but you'll get an annuity for life under
Right.
VERA. You're getting early retirement. It's
Right.
an open season, the 7th to the 14th. There are people who are eligible to retire straight away. They can take DERP, get DERP tape 2, and uh, just get out if they're not eligible for early retirement. If you are eligible for early retirement, you can take VERA and not do DERP, and your timeline for your end of work will be whenever you put in as your early retirement date. But
Right.
it's an open season for this 7-day period. For me, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, why don't I put my, it doesn't make sense for me to take DERP VERA and keep working unless I love the job and I just want to go to work to get
Yeah.
my pay. But if I want to go do the next thing after retirement, I go, okay, it's an open season. I'm going to take VERA. I'm going to put DERP on top of it, and I'm going to get that pay for 6 months. I'm going to leave work on May 1st, get paid till September 30th, which is going to be what I'm going to apply for my DERP date or my VERA date. And I'll get my early retirement, and I'm going to go get gone and get paid. So people
Yeah.
can stay at work if they want, but they can leave under the DRP
So
as
that
well
6 months will count. So say, if I'm understanding this, if they had 2 years left to normal retirement
or
and it's
less.
open season, and they did it now in the open season under dirt, they could leave now. That 6 months would go into that 2 years, and they just have like 18 months, small percentage that would come off that
So
retirement.
yeah, they under voluntary early retirement, if DERP didn't exist, they'd go, I want to retire in July. My last day will be 1st of July.
Right.
And then I leave. And you're going to work up to the 1st of July or whenever your leave accrual makes sense. You got 30 days of leave built up. You'd leave 1st of June. But now under the VERA, it's an open season to get your early retirement if you're within 2 years of your eligibility for actual normal retirement timeline. And the DRP is on top of it. So if you just add that to it, when you apply for VERA, you put a date down that is going to be your retirement date. Now you go, I'm going to put that date as the latest available legally through the program is September 30th. So with that, your timing for pay for your annuity is going to be September 30th is your retirement date. You're on administrative leave as soon as you coordinate for your separation, your administrative leave status under the DRP take 2. And then you're getting full pay and benefits until September 30th.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it doesn't make sense for you just to do VERA during this open season unless you just want to be at work and you love it. But you have the opportunity to get 6 months of free pay and get your retirement date moved all the way to September 30th. It's like the greatest deal. Ask
Yeah.
anybody. It's the greatest. There's my
So
Trump impression.
so with the it's so with this second, phase of the dirt, um, we talked about it, but IPs, civilians still aren't
Oh,
eligible.
yeah.
So how is this going to affect, because who is eligible now? And it's a
Okay.
core part of the flying ops.
Yep. So 2 major emails came out. Policy is really broke out. They've done the numbers. They've run it. They're looking at denying everything has to be approved. They'll do a vetting process. You apply for DERP. They're going to go, let's make sure this isn't a key element for this function. and then they'll
Yeah.
say yes or no. There are some things out the door that they're just going to say, don't even bother applying. You don't get it. And that's going to be civilian pilots like me,
Yeah.
civilian sim instructors. They don't get it. But interestingly,
Yeah.
aircraft maintenance is eligible. So I know a guy that I've worked with for over 10 years that indicated that there are a huge number of folks just within our circle of influence at our base that are eligible and are likely to partake in DRP Take Two.
And is that because they're close to retirement or they're just like, hey,
Because, yeah, they're close, they're eligible, they're honestly the way that maintenance contract goes, these guys are working their faces off all the time. They are,
oh,
and that's just because they're making money. That company that's supporting that contract,
yeah,
they've got to make their margins, so they're going to execute their operation with the minimum manning available.
yeah,
And two, there's a lack of folks who are qualified to execute the mission. They can't hire enough people ever. Period.
yeah.
So now this is going to create a bathtub of bodies. It's going to be the chart's going to go boom, DRP2. We are stuck in a bathtub of personnel for support of the maintenance operation to get iron up into the sky. So we're going to have impact
And,
coming
and
up.
and and this has already been a problem. Like all flight ops, like
Yeah.
maintainers, like civilian, military, all flight ops positions are have been down anyway.
Yeah. Aircraft
So
maintenance, just for one aircraft type at one base, from my talking to maintainers, is the people who are eligible that could take it just in that small circle in the hundreds of people. So if
yeah,
you take that across the nation, across the force, the impact could be unbelievable.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, when I came here, I see the maintenance hangars like on the flight line. I thought that's all it was. Knox took me over to where he's at now, and I was just like, whoa. I had no idea that it was what goes into like just the T-38s on our base. And there's like it appears to be at least half as many that are flying
Oh yeah.
just in pieces and what really goes into it. And it's like, oh, that's why there's an over G limit, even though because they have machines that straighten the whole frame out, and it was eye-opening. I was like, wow.
Yeah. For a layman not understanding what goes into aircraft maintenance to allow these jets to fly 2 and 3 times past their expected service life when they were produced, it's a massive amount of man hours, work, toil, effort, cost, and you need a lot of people to get that done. So the fact that we as a US Air Force are able to do the amount of flying that we do legally, safely, and we're still the safest operation we've ever been at this point.
Yeah. And
Um,
I mean, I think even the Super Hornets are already a few thousand hours past
yeah,
what they were
we run
supposed
our
to.
jets hard across the fleet, across the Air Force, across Navy. Management of hours on airframes is a real. I mean, that's a global impact for air power problem to manage and solve at the highest levels. That's a big deal.
So with like, being like forward deployed, my friends in the Air Force, my knowledge until I got to Randolph, I just always thought it was like Air Force personnel maintainers because my friend was assigned to a very specific Strike Eagle and flew around the world with that, and his name was on the aircraft, and he was the main dude for that one aircraft. So when I got to Randolph, I was totally like, oh, this is totally different. Like
Yep.
names are on jets, but like if you do actually get to sit in it, it's not going to work for you. So like I had no idea that like it's just your name's on a jet, but it's not yours. And then I didn't realize it's all civilians. So
Yeah.
I wonder if in the Navy, if you're on a ship, you're probably like enlisted in the Navy?
Um,
Obviously, that's the Navy, but
if you are a naval aviator, you're an officer, so
no,
not
yeah, but I mean
enlisted.
like the maintainers
The maintainers.
officer.
Okay, so that's interesting. That you brings up a blind spot for civilians or non-pilots into the maintenance ecosystem. For Air Force specifically, if you are in a combat coded unit, you must have your maintenance capability deployable so that you take the iron, you take the pilots, and you take all the equipment and parts necessary to keep those airplanes running at a deployed location. So then you also have training coded units like we have in Air Education Training Command, the training jet platforms like T-38, T-6. Those are never going to deploy because they don't operate weapons. So you can contract out, and we do contract out the maintenance for those. They're probably filled with formerly active duty enlisted maintainers for other airframes, the
Yeah.
deployable units, B2s, B1s, A10, F-16. The warfighting airplanes have maintainers that are uh, deployable with the combat coded units. There are units for training home state like CONUS for A10s, for example, that have some mix of contract and active maintenance. So there's just like a GS civilian pilot for the non-combat coded maintaining units, you can have civilian GS folks that are doing the maintaining of the jets as well. So there's a across the board spectrum of how this is going to impact. There's a lot of civilian maintenance support that keeps the engine running for Air Force aviation, period.
Yeah, and it's
So this DRP2 is going to potentially, you know, like I said, have a big personnel bathtub effect. There's going to be a even worse lack of manpower. There's been a lack of maintenance manpower forever. There always will be.
for example, just knowing, working with some of the guys at the 149th at Kelly just last year, they obviously have a very limited amount of Vipers and D blocks for training.
Yeah.
They were struggling so bad last year and like falling short on things because of lack of maintainers, trying
Yeah.
to keep the mission alive,
Parts.
parts, and it's like it's surprising that they allowed that particular job field.
Yeah. Maintenance was struggling over there at Kelly for the F-16 training unit. I know a couple of pilots over there. Our kids go to school together, so we hang out a little bit.
Ah,
But
there's some cool guys over there.
yeah, yeah, they're like, hey, he's like one of the I think he's the chief IP now. Maybe I don't want to get too narrowed down on that, but yeah, I think they were running like half the rate of flying that they needed for their classes at some point last year. They
Yeah,
were
it was
hurting.
like summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
working up into summer. Yeah, but yeah, interesting. Well, uh, I guess maybe we could segue. Speaking of
Deployable units.
deployable units,
All
yes.
right, dude, I'm gonna share this screenshot and we're gonna zoom in. Let's see, share
I don't
this.
know, but on my screen, we're not side by side anymore. I don't know if that's how it is on your screen.
Let's see.
Doesn't look
It
good.
might take over. And what are you seeing? So
Oh,
this is where 30% of our B2, where is it? Did I lose it? No, I didn't.
it's just really small.
This is Diego Garcia. And somewhere around here is where 30% of the United States Air Force's B2 fleet is sitting right now. If you look at the geopolitics of this, where this is located versus where they generally hang out, it's on the other side of the globe. So instead of being over in the middle of Missouri, they are about, I don't know, 24 hours shorter flight time to many of the areas of interest in the Indo Pacific. uh, for strike capability. So that's a big move.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be outside of carriers showing up on your coast, which is happening in
Oh yeah,
places.
three more carriers moved over Indo-Pacific as well.
So if carriers are one thing, having a single B2 show up, let alone six,
Yeah, six of them.
B2 can take out every carrier we have by itself. So if we
Yeah,
got six just sitting there, and once they go up, they're gone. That's a show of force that I haven't really
yeah.
seen like ever.
And if you load every one of those up with all the precision guided munitions that they can carry, conventional, you can you can take out a very large number of targets without being detected.
Yeah,
And then you've got, I mean, nobody's talking about any nuclear option for us, but they are, I mean, nuclear capable, of course.
yeah.
So
I mean, that was kind of essentially the main focus of their
yeah, maybe
capability.
they're trying to influence uh, Putin. Maybe Putin's getting a little wild hair and he's starting to talk about nukes again. So they're like, ah, it's a bad idea. Check this out. We're going to put these B2s over here.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
even
complete speculation.
even seeing a you know, un no, just the force of a JDAM dropping with no explosives in it, what it can do is pretty crazy. There's some videos of it online. Just the back pressure um without having being armed. So yeah, I mean, they're strategic. They can
Uh-oh.
they can, minimize casualties as best as we can from from somewhere up there.
Oh, let me see what I'm doing here. I gotta
I You definitely don't want the death Dorito showing up in range.
let me
Yeah.
the death Dorito. Hmm. Okay, I gotta.
I don't know where I heard that. It was a few years back. I'm like, dude, that's the name right there.
So here's a good embarrassing one. I just my channel had not closed the stream out for I was trying to run the casita live stream and it goes through the same switchboard.
Oh yeah,
So that live stream was our recording for the podcast. So like the build up before we're hitting record.
yeah.
I got to go take that live stream off the interwebs. I just got, I found out because my mom texted me, dude. That's hilarious. She's like, hey, I can't only hear like half of the words you're saying.
Like she's listening to us. Oh no, wait, we're not. We're not live, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It was, we were streaming this recording.
Oh,
So
this is the first time we've done a live stream.
yeah, unintentionally too. So
Oh, okay, okay. That's funny.
I'm supposed to be recording this to put it up later, but let's see here.
But well, so
Let me see if this are we still good? Yep, we're still recording. All right. I hit enough off switches on the stream setup that we should not be streaming anymore. It's like if you're going through your stream on the software,
yeah,
not only do you have to turn it off on YouTube, but you have to turn it off on the software or it keeps trying to push it. So that's what I did.
yeah. So we got
Anyways,
the
moving right
show.
along, the freaking Death Doritos are major flex for global
Major.
politics, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, we've had growlers doing some work out there. as of the last few days. It sounds like that the Houthis are being losing some support.
Yep, we got A-10s out into deploying again. We're retiring them, but we keep deploying them, and they keep
Get
kicking
back to
ass.
work.
Yeah,
We're not done yet.
yeah,
The desert didn't go anywhere.
yeah. They're in the Middle East. They're supporting the that fight against the Red Sea problem.
Yeah.
So, man, what else is going on? We'll probably wrap it up here pretty quick, but you wanted to talk some smack about Canada?
Oh, not really. I mean, not well. They kind of just. I just thought it was funny that the prime minister, you know, gets up in front of their media and essentially is like, "Well, if America's not going to lead the charge, and like, you know, Canada's going to step up and do it." It got real quiet. Heard a couple voices in wherever he was speaking. But it was like, yeah, dude, I don't think anyone, even your own people, believe that.
Yeah, come on.
We have other people in the Five Eyes that like are more capable.
Yeah.
Not knocking Canadian war fighters themselves, but
The
yeah,
idea that this guy's saying Trump's lost all of his standing globally because he's imposing tariffs, and now we're going to step up and be the one that's leading the globe is pretty funny.
yeah,
That's pretty
and
funny.
yeah, and that could even go back to why are these people protesting in the streets? You know, I'm seeing all these talks of like, oh, well, it's unfortunate that your grandparents are gonna have to figure out new means of income or losing their retirement or anyone that is investing is having to think of new means. And it's like anyone that says that doesn't know a single thing about investing whatsoever. First off, you're playing the long game.
Yeah.
Second off, old folks have seen this happen so many times in their life. Like,
Yeah.
look, a CEO could get sick and sneeze at a board meeting that's recorded live, and something will change.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, Elon smoked a blunt with Rogan, and everything changed for a little bit. It's
Yeah.
very like easy to change, but people are saying that they're ruining America by doing this. And it's like, dude, think about what you're saying. You don't know what's going on. Look, bringing factory and work to America is the way.
Yeah.
It's
Long game.
expensive at first, but I said, yeah, it's growing pains. But, and this just goes to show you how like people really don't care when it comes to their wallet. How about all the starving children slave laboring for your 10-cent shirt that you sell for 50 bucks?
Yeah.
Like if you really like people don't really care.
Yeah.
And it's like it will readjust, it will come back. It's just chill out.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
The people freaking out about the stock market, I'm like, it's not a valid argument. You should not be doing policy for short term stock market adjustments. It's,
Ever.
yeah.
If anything, this is when you buy.
Yeah.
It dip. Like duh.
Yeah.
But
You
it's
got a
like,
great opportunity for the upside. I just saw somebody on um the one of those money shows. Uh we could have a 50% bump by the end of
yeah,
uh Trump's term on the stock market. So right now, this big dip right here, the things that they're putting in place right now are going to get traction, and this dip is going to blast through previous levels.
yeah.
So you can argue just blatant speculation from both sides of this thing, and get excited or get depressed.
It's like don't get emotional because
Yeah,
this happens all the time.
yeah,
In 2023, in January, like my investments lost quite a bit of money.
yeah,
But it like knew it was going to come back and it came back crazier, way better. The
yeah,
thing is, we know, everyone knows that Americans are broke. They're 9 to 5, like they're a slave to an hourly wage. Earned income essentially is the worst way to earn income. And if that's the way it is, it's because none of these people invest. So why the heck does anybody listen to all these people complaining? Because none of them are investing, and they definitely don't know what they're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
now's the time to buy. So,
Yep.
you know,
Well, I mean, you bringing up the way our society's structured and how things have been sold to us, and
yeah,
so I mean, there's plenty to argue about, and there's plenty to be cynical about there. That we don't have a bigger, smarter cohort within the United States society that is legitimately able to navigate investment for their own personal use and develop wealth smartly. The problem is the game's rigged, and it's
yeah. I mean, you could go to educational system right
yeah,
there. They teach
yeah,
you how to balance a checkbook. Well, they don't do that anymore, but they're teaching you how to live, and it's totally the way to live is a 9 to 5 job. You go
yeah,
to school so you get a guaranteed 9 to 5 job,
yeah,
and that's it.
yeah,
And that is where like the real issue is because
yeah,
straight up, you do not need to go to college. No way.
yeah,
It's a scam.
yeah,
It's the same American dream scam as the American dream of everyone should own a house. Like if you know, it's nice owning a house, you have access to money.
yeah,
Um, but you're in debt for your whole life unless you know what to do with it.
yeah,
College, is a total scam. There's not really that many jobs where you actually need a college education.
right,
There's a handful of,
yeah,
not a handful, but not a lot.
yeah,
Art degrees, like, come on. Like, you're never paying off your $100,000 art school loan for an art degree. I mean, select few do,
yeah.
you know. So
There are with what you just said about that. There's plenty of this is you can present either side of an argument. I see where you're coming from, but I could counter that and say, I know a lot of people that I can give you story after story of individuals who've gone through in college and been successful and got a 9 to 5 and they're happy and they're, you know, that happens. I'm probably one of those guys. I bought the house, I bought multiple houses.
yeah, but I think you know what I'm saying though.
Yeah, yeah,
It's this because at some point there was a decision made that every job requires a 4-year degree, and it's like for what?
yeah,
For what? I know, especially in the art field, I've seen 17-year-olds that can like design around circles around me.
yeah,
All the education's on YouTube for free, you know?
yeah,
So there's certain jobs where the only thing I need to see is a portfolio. And if you like try and get a job with me and tell me your GPM, I don't care. Show me what you do. If you're a coder or an app developer, I don't care about your resume. Show me what you've done. Show me your work. And so
yeah,
I think that where I was trying to go with it is that saying like there was just this habit of everyone needs a degree for like the things you don't need a degree for. And uh, yeah, it's I think that's starting to change. It's starting to change where it's not so promoted that way as much anymore.
yeah.
But
There's momentum with that adjusting to a more realistic picture of how we're shaping our young people.
yeah,
And just like I think there's momentum to get rid of woke, there's momentum to celebrate masculinity again. It's okay to be a dude that you know is masculine. I think there's the pendulum is swinging on that stuff a little bit, which is a good thing.
yeah, yeah,
Again,
yeah,
we're choosing optimism. We're choosing to be looking at things in the positive wherever possible. But
yeah.
well, hey man, I think we're sitting at coming up on an hour here, so let's call it a day. What do you say, man?
Sounds good to me.
All right, great talking with you. This was a good one. I think
Yeah,
we covered a lot of ground, like
yeah.
surprising because I just took a nap. I didn't think I was going to have
I know.
much
I
come
was
out.
like, I was texting you like ready to bail out. I'm like, I cannot wake up.
All right, man.
So, all right.
Peace.
Well, see you next week.
Yep.